Smoke cleared. Protesters did return to the streets of downtown Portland over the weekend. Police say some of them damaged businesses, but no arrests were made. The brief hiatus comes after more than 100 nights of protest. Then today, the Justice Department labeled Portland one of 3 cities they're calling anarchist jurisdictions. The announcement coming after President Trump threatened to withhold federal funds. Fox 12's Camilla Ortiz is live with how businesses are now responding and a look at the protest tonight. Camilla?
Yeah, Wayne, we're here at Southeast 47th and Burnside, where a group of protesters has met to continue to spread the message of the Black Lives Matter movement. Go ahead and take a look. You can see they set up some vehicles here to block the intersection at Burnside, and I'd say this group is about 200 strong. It's grown. They started at Laurelhurst Park and marched here about maybe 45 minutes ago. But earlier today, we were in downtown Portland to talk to businesses about how things have been going, and people told me they are not happy with how the city is being portrayed nationally. To-go orders are trickling in at the Crown by Imperial on Southwest Broadway, but the tables remain empty.
It's been a real challenge.
Imperial General Manager Bethany Thompson tells me things have been tough for businesses downtown, first from the pandemic, then from the violence and vandalism that we sometimes see at the tail end of protests. Violence that many involved in the Black Lives Matter movement say they do not condone, which we heard from protesters Monday night.
I don't want to do anything that unnecessarily alienates people. Or that does not communicate the message that I'd like to communicate.
Saturday night, during a march, Portland police say 3 businesses had their windows smashed downtown. Thompson says one of the biggest issues for businesses trying to keep their doors open is the perception that eating and staying in downtown Portland isn't safe.
Just come back, give it a try.
Hotels are especially struggling. Just across the street, Benson Hotel Managing Director George Schweitzer said occupancy is down to 15%. They'd normally be at 90%.
The occupancy around the country is almost at 50% now. For hotels. I'd give anything to be at 50%, and so would my colleagues here in downtown Portland.
So why is Portland so much worse? Benson thinks it's because of the words of national leaders who say Portland permits violence and supports anarchists.
What's happened is because of the national attention we're getting, people are just frightened.
And Schweitzer has this to say to anybody who claims Portland is unsafe or on fire.
Stop. Come visit. Let us show you. Help us in some other way, but that's not going to help.
And back out here live, you can see the crowd is mostly just kind of standing in the street in Burnside here. I do hear somebody speaking on a loudspeaker, so it sounds like they're listening to speakers. Things have remained peaceful here, though. At about 9:45, I did hear the city's first message asking protesters to stay away from the Penumbra Kelly building and to stay on the sidewalk, or they could risk facing arrest. Now, we did hear from other protesters today who say President Trump threatening to withhold federal funds will only reinvigorate the movement. Reporting live here in Southeast Portland, Camilla Ortiz, Fox 12 Oregon.
We mentioned Portland was one of 3 cities listed by the DOJ, Seattle, New York, the other 2. The criteria for how these cities are evaluated includes whether the city forbids police from intervening to restore order, if it disempowers or defunds police departments, and any other related factors that the Attorney General deems appropriate. As for how leaders are responding, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler issued a statement along with the mayors of Seattle and New York, saying in part, this is thoroughly political and unconstitutional. The president is playing cheap political games with congressionally directed funds. Our cities are bringing communities together. Our cities are pushing forward after fighting back a pandemic and facing the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression, all despite recklessness and partisanship from the White House. It's not clear how much federal funding could be withdrawn from the cities and if the move would even be legal. The Office of Management and Budget is expected to send guidance to federal agencies on what exactly can be cut within the next 2 weeks.